I mount my sorrow, Kilimanjaro, put it in a poem like Walt Whitman. Short flow with a tall rhythm, got balls so I ball with them. Splish, all knitting, take it to the bank like Oprah. Off the shit I'm rocking off my dome, no Jofa. Anybody song logs about to get woke up. New Jack OG, popular as kale. They used to wanna see me get hit dead by a train. Now they all be catching feelings as they hop up on my rail. Shit got dry so I'm pulling in the well. 2 buckets saying fuck it to an L. Checking Joe went up the hill, but who the hell be down? Do it for my city, yeah, I do it for my town. See a lady in the grocery store, I hold her down with her. Hey, how's it going? Don't you know how it sounds?
Where did you go? Down Virginia.
Good morning, everybody. Or good afternoon.
Travel the coast, but I was tied to the whipping post, so I'm getting high again. Where did you go? Down Virginia, cross a bridge, it looked a lot like Leviathan. Travel the coast, but I was tied to the whipping post.
Hey, what's going on, man? It's been a long time no see. Long time no see to you, too. You said just had 10 hours of your old streams today, a bit tired. Dang, I'm sorry. Those should have been new streams. I should give you new content. Have you guys been actively trading? Yeah. I've been doing mostly swing trading. So I'm not sitting here scalping the 1 minute time frame anymore like I used to. I was letting people load in. I figured I'd talk while we do that. I was streaming on my gaming channel for about an hour before I started up here. And I think it's kind of broken. I couldn't find myself in the search bar. And yeah, I just don't think it was working. But I figured after we're done going over charts and everything, probably about 30, 40 minutes, I'll just probably switch over to playing games and just hang out for a little bit longer than I'm usually here. I got nothing to do this morning. I still got plenty of time today to just kind of hang out. I mean, I never stopped trading. Even when I would have like a couple months worth of like downtime between like one stream and the last, that was really just when we were in those long-term uptrends. And there was just nothing to talk about. Like, we got our entries, and besides that, there was just nothing really to go over. But I always tried to upgrade update the Discord whenever I made a move on my personal accounts. All right, we can switch over here. Let's do the good old-fashioned Air Wing Marine. Yeah, we'll just keep it to that for now. There we go. Alrighty, what's going on, guys? Good morning, good morning. At least for me. It's 7:17 a.m. here. I know it might be the afternoon or even nighttime in some places, or close to nighttime. Hi. Let me go ahead and bring this up. So this is what I updated with the group last night. This is the current trade that I am in. It was off to a little bit of a rocky start. We did have one. Was it one or two? I think I only got knocked out once and then just had to re-enter. I got stopped out once on this. Now the structure itself, I'll be honest, it wasn't exactly what I would have liked. But it's what made sense. It's an ABC enough for me to kind of make the entry off of it, and then combine that with the fact that it was a retest of previous resistance and then confirm into support. I did take that entry. So that's what I'm currently holding on to, but we do have the opportunity for a short position coming up here shortly. If we do happen to put in a higher high than 123. Now, there is a chance that we don't put in that higher high and this actually ends up turning into an even larger ABC, which wouldn't be awful for the bulls. As always, I look at this in terms of like, if we do want upside price action, we always need a larger supporting structure to bring us to it. But as the market's currently going, if we do continue proceeding to the upside, we're getting thinner and thinner setups with each propellant forward. So eventually that is going to topple over and we're probably going to have a pretty drastic correction down to a previous local low. Now, as it currently stands, like if the market did get pretty thin up here and we did end up putting in that higher high, I'd probably be targeting 98,000 as our kind of immediate retest, where I would probably feel comfortable with us continuing on a bullish momentum run. It would kind of spell a little bit of trouble, because if we do happen to get back down below 109, that does start to call into question if we are starting to flip bearish. We would have to get above that pretty quickly. So, like I said, I am looking for the short structure as my hedge position. If we do happen to put in the higher high here. But if we do just come back down, and would it suck? Yeah, but sometimes that's just the way things go. If we don't happen to put in that higher high and we go down lower, that would be a significantly better bullish structure. But then it does start to play into this previous resistance. If we do happen to go below it, that could trigger a sell-off as well. So that's going to be a very hot region. I'm really hoping that if we do happen to see the price come back down to there, it doesn't fluctuate too much and we make a pretty, swift decision on whether or not we're going to stick around that range, either to the upside or to the downside, because both of the entry points are on that same exact line. So if we come back down to that and we do a lot of waving back and forth, it's not going to be pretty in terms of stop losses. So obviously I'll stick with it, but if it's just keeps getting hammered, I might have to walk away from it and maybe either just play one side or no side at all. Depends on how the price action is moving and whether or not we get a decision going forward. Now, that's in the future. Yet to be seen whether or not that is going to be what price action does. But it is something that I'm mentally preparing for, just so I don't have to make the decision while distressed. Do you have any automation at the moment? TV Hub probably not working with your site. Bybit's still good for you. I don't know if that was a question on the back side of that. I'm sure Bybit still works in some parts of the EU. I'm not sure if it's all of it though. I don't use Bybit anymore. I've been using ByDefi. Still don't know if that's the exact pronunciation of it. But I am sponsored by them. But I have tested out a little bit. And I do like them. Now I still need to move some money onto it. I do have an open trade on a different platform, but since I am sponsored by them now, I'm just going to respect them and not mention it. But yeah, this is the website that I will be using going forward. But so far so good. I like the UI. It gives you all the necessary tools to make the trades that you need to make. And yeah, I'm looking forward to being a part of this going forward. But I do have to wait for some trades to come off the board before I can move the money over. Twixie, what's going on, man? How you doing? And this is a dead vape, and I really need to go to the gas station and get some replacements. This is probably not healthy for me. I mean, it's not healthy in the first place, but you get what I'm saying. At this point, it's probably just cotton. So no automated entries while sleeping? No, not besides like conditionals. But then even conditionals, you have to kind of use alarm systems. Nowadays, like, I don't put a significant amount of emphasis. If we're in the midst of like a heated bull market, now this is a bull market, don't get me wrong. We're putting in higher highs, and new all-time highs. But I would argue that it's not heated like the previous ones have been. In that kind of area, I think it's very important to be on top of what you're doing. But as the price has currently been going for like the last year or 2 years, sometimes I just don't care. Like, I'll set up my conditional, but if it's really screwing with me overnight, I'll walk away. Like, if I need to open up at a higher price point, so be it. It's not worth my sleep at that point. And like I said, I'm not playing on the 1 minute time frame anymore. So when I do need to pay attention to the chart, it's maybe for a couple hours or a day. Like this 111,000 number is extremely significant. This $123,000 number is extremely significant. So when the price is pretty much directly at those lines, I will be paying attention. I will be trying to get my entries. I'll be setting up my conditionals. But the second that we move even a blip away, I pretty much just turn off the chart. Because, like, what's the point in staring at it? We're either going to get stopped out, right, which I'll get an alert for from my trading website, or we go. And I don't care where we go. I gave up the idea of price targets quite a while ago. And it's been working out a lot for me. So I don't have to stress about where we're going to the upside or to the downside, or whether I'm right or wrong, because the chart's going to move whether or not I'm looking at it or I'm not. Just a way less stressful way of living. So yeah. I would love to say that, it's completely changed my life. But obviously external factors besides trading are always there. But I mean, I've definitely been feeling better. Like, I feel like I have been quite lying to myself the past year in saying that I'm okay. I still don't think I am, but I definitely do feel things starting to get better. Can't say they're quite there yet, but I'm still struggling. I'm just really hoping that when the holidays come around this year, it's not as hard as it was last year. That was rough. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing okay. Are we near the top for BTC? Possibly. There's a chance for it. I'm not in the business of calling the top, but in terms of like macro structure, we do have some dominoes that are set in place that could trigger possibly the top. Like I said, if we do happen to put in the higher high at 123,000 and come back down below it, well, that would be a bearish ABC. And then that would hopefully trigger a retest down to the downside, which then could potentially get us back below 112,000, which then would get us below, what exact number is this? 109,000. And then past that point, we have a couple layers of resistance keeping us down with not a whole lot of support underneath us. So that's the main thing at the moment. It's not about calling the top where we are. It's about understanding what needs to happen to increase the probability for a top overall. So obviously the biggest thing is if you do see price get back below 109,000, that does start to tip things in the probability side for bears. Okay? Because below 109,000, the only real support that we have is at 98.7. So if we lose 98.7, it could be pretty much a direct drop back down to 73 or 74. All right. And then you keep going down that line. At 74, we have a previous resistance, which then if we got back underneath it, there's not a whole lot of support until around 50K. And at the same time, we would be getting back below this, the super macro, well, the current super macro resistance of 69K. And then beyond that, it's really up to the chart. Now, like if we did see, people would call it a bear market, but in my opinion, as Bitcoin's going to get, older and older, these bear markets compared to what we're used to are going to be like little blips on the map. Not in terms of like, oh, we go back down and then all of a sudden we're back up, but rather like the distance. It's not going to be dramatic in the old sense where, we drop 70%. Now, I might be eating my words here. Let's measure this. Like, let's say, for example, this is the top at 123. So that'd be about a 60% drop. I think that if we did see a bear market coming up here shortly, I know people hate that. And once again, I'm not Nostradamus. I'm just calling what the inklings of the chart could say. And if we do happen to do certain things, we put ourselves in a bearish position. I'm holding along. All right. Don't shoot me. I'm holding along. All right. I want to make money just like everybody else. I hold spot Bitcoin. I hold longs. But that is not going to stop me from taking the short at 123,000, just like how I had a bias to the downside and it didn't stop me from taking the long at, what was it, 117? 102. I took that one. So even though I can have a bias, not going to stop me from listening to the chart and what it has to say. So if we did see a bear market, I probably wouldn't expect any drastic numbers. I don't think we're going back down to 24. Now, that's a thought. That's an idea. Okay. Is it reality? Who knows? That's to be seen. Okay. But in terms of like local lows and the strength of certain supports that we see here on the chart, definitely our strongest supports are at 74,000 and roughly 50K, 53K. Could there be like a short wick down to like the 38.5K region? Sure. Like if we ever saw that. But I think we probably would recover back up to the 50K mark pretty easily. Kind of something similar to what we did over here, like where we kind of held, 18K for a good period of time. And then we had a quick maneuver down to 15,000 and then bounced right back up. I could see something like that happening between those two support regions. That's a good point. Let me check on ETH real quick. Oh yeah, so I don't know why I didn't even like talk about this sooner. I did check this the other day, and this has definitely caught my attention. Obviously, hopefully all of you guys can see it in an instant because it's clear as day. But we have A to B and to C. All right, and that would put our short pretty much almost where we're standing. This, let me just make sure that it's crystal clear here with the price label. 4,162. Okay. I don't typically trade ETH anymore. I mainly just stick to Bitcoin. I'll throw in something else every once in a while, but Ethereum the past couple months just hasn't had any particular structures that were of any importance to me. Now, if I don't see the structure that my trade strategy requires, well, I can't take the trade. I can't just go long because even if Bitcoin is showing a long structure, I can't just long Ethereum. But this is a pretty massive bearish structure. And I already do have the conditional set up on the other trading platform. But unfortunately, I don't have... I could move over a little something. Just to test out the new website, but... like I said, if you guys are looking for a new trading platform, buy DeFi, BYDFI.com. No KYC. Pretty awesome. I think it might be live for like another 2 or 3 days. I need to check it, but there is a bonus set up where if you sign up underneath me, I think it was like $100, you get 50, 200. I forgot what all the numbers were, but I know there's a bonus. But yeah, Ethereum is definitely on the chopping block. Now, like, this isn't me being a total bear, because trust me, this is a large ABC structure, and if we do happen to go back down below that resistance, technically, we would be looking for a price range probably between 2,000 and like 1,200 as a possible low. Now, I'm not going to just call, those lower numbers. We're going to look at the chart. So if we do happen to see a rejection here and we get back down below this resistance, well, let's go ahead and just take a look at the local lows. We have one at 3,336 or 3,366, my bad. And then sorry, I had some spicy noodles and the heat has not left me yet. And a local low here at 2,100. Obviously, we have the super macro local low here at 1,400. If we do see some sort of retracement in Ethereum, I probably wouldn't expect it to stop at like that 3,300 level. I would more likely be expecting it to at least retest 2,100. I think that's a good place for it to retest. You can see that's our previous ABC structure here. And it is our previous local low from the current trend. So that does seem like a very valid support region if we happen to come back down to it. Once again, I'm not in the business of totally saying that we're going to go down. I'm just saying that I will be taking that short position. Now, in terms of like the grand scheme of things, if we do happen to proceed higher, which is definitely a chance here, the next stop would be 4,859. If we put in a higher high past that point, it would create the largest ABC that we currently have available for Ethereum. And then at that point, if we do fail, we're definitely looking at going much, much lower. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, hopefully we're going into some sort of hyper bull market. and we can proceed past these resistances quite greatly. But if we do continue to stall out and we don't continue this momentum, especially with Bitcoin's market getting pretty thin here, I don't know how much more gas we have left in the tank. I'm not calling a full bear market in terms of like, that's what I think would happen, you know, initially, but we definitely would be looking at some sort of retests, you know, in terms of like a larger scale than what we have been seeing over the last couple of months. Now, I did not get into, I think it was XRP. Somebody mentioned. Yeah, it was this. I think it was this one. No, it couldn't have been. It was, okay, I need to zoom in. It was this one right here. But yeah. I did not get into that, unfortunately. But if we go a little bit higher, we do have a pretty solid short setup at $3.66. Now, actually, the larger macro, the larger structure here does have me a bit concerned. With what Bitcoin needs to do in order to put in its higher high, I want to assume, I want to, you know, correlate that XRP will also make another push. So even though this structure is kind of in the way of that probability, I would like to think that we would at least go for the 366, even if we are going to fold back over. I don't know if I want to spread myself too thin and take the short here. I think I want to wait for a little bit of extra confirmation. Once again, we might not even put in that higher high, and that might create a better long opportunity, or at least a better structure, and create some much needed support, because we don't have any real support in this level. We don't have any like double retests or anything like that. So, or like no like major upwards confirmation off of a local low. So, you know, in all reality, we don't have any support here. Our next available support region would be, you know, $1.90 to $1.61, and then past that point, there's nothing. Like it's, I mean, you can call for support here at $1.27, but that is a tough thing to sell, to me at least. I would love to say KDA is doing well. And I mean, all things granted, it's doing well. Like for an altcoin, most altcoins just kind of fall off a cliff. And sure, it definitely did. You know, when we peaked over here at $2, it definitely fell off that cliff. But it's holding that 40 cents level pretty steadily. And obviously on the macro side of things, as long as we are above 41 cents pretty much, it technically is in a buy position. But just, you know, with the altcoin here, I need to feel in my heart of hearts that Bitcoin is going to go on a run. I need, like, you know, local low support with a big ABC, with the halvening, or like we're pushing an all-time high after we've been cooking for a couple years. Like, that is what I need to feel like a coin like this will do what it needs to do. Me personally, I just don't feel like Bitcoin is going to go on that run. I really hope I'm wrong. Because once again, this is Austin talking. This is not the trader. The trader is in a long, and the trader will hold that long forever until he either loses it or he makes a massive profit on it. One of those two things must happen. Harold, you said, oh man, I know the feeling of it's getting better, but kind of never really reaching that good feeling. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't think it's something I'll ever be okay with. But gotta try, right? I did contact my doctor. And unfortunately got the response that I was really hoping I wouldn't get. Because I knew it was the highest likelihood. But back in 2022, towards the end of the bull market, I did actually end up going to a doctor, getting diagnosed with ADHD. Obviously, it's just ADD now. And I never really had a problem with like fidgeting or like running around. So I guess I want to be classified as that either. But obviously, shown by the streams, I'm very sporadic. Now, obviously, when things are awesome, you know, in terms of my mood and the market and stuff like that, my ADD kicks in and I can hyper focus on trading. And that's when we have 12-hour streams. But obviously, 98% of the time, the ADD is backfiring. I am either low motivation and to hop on here and talk, especially with the camera on, because I'm just not used to having all the lights in my eyeballs. But I wanted to, it was virtual over the phone, but I wanted to, talk to him. And she was basically saying that, like, it's been a long enough period of time where I no longer need to go see a cardiologist, because back when I got my prescription, I made the mistake of kind of like complaining. Now, obviously, people are going to be like, well, you want to tell your doctors these things and yada, yada, yada. But deep down, I guess I wanted something to talk about with the doctor, because I just felt like I would be going in there for nothing. Because I had to have these follow-up appointments as I was getting my prescription titrated, or whatever it's called. So like I just didn't want to be like, yep, I'm good, blah, blah, blah. So I guess I just said something, and it was the truth too, that like, hey, my heart rate is a little bit higher than normal. At times it feels a bit strange. That's pretty much the gist of what I said. And she was like, well, you gotta go see a cardiologist now that that's on your file. But it's been a couple years now. So she said I just need to go get a physical and I can start up my prescription again, which, there's nothing major. I can go into a whole spiel about how no matter your age, weight, gender, whatever it might be, I personally don't think anything more than 10 milligrams of Adderall a day is useful or conducive. People would disagree with me on that, but that opinion just simply comes down to neurotoxicity. Anything more than that over a prolonged period of time will cause neurotoxicity, and it will make your symptoms worse, not better. But 5 to 10 milligrams, that's a magical number. It's, for a lot of people, 5 to 10 milligrams is not enough to like flip a switch in your head where you're instantly going to be doing everything that you're supposed to, or whatever it might be, but it's going to be a considerable percentage improvement to your day. But it's enough to promote neurogenesis. And if you allow yourself to have the healthy habits at the same time, and you're working on it all together, magical things happen. But they just go and they shove 70 milligrams of Adderall down a 16-year-old's throat, and then they wonder why he's screwed up later on. Boggles my mind, doesn't it? But yeah, anybody play the Battlefield 6 playtest over the weekend? I've been playing it since Thursday, and I have to say, pretty fun. I found myself using one gun the entire time. I experimented a little bit with the snipers and everything like that, and I do love sniping, but the AK-205 was an absolute monster. It didn't matter the distance, and once you got the synthetic tips that increase the headshot multiplier, it felt so good to use. But yeah, I got the early access beta key off of Razor's Discord, and I have a couple small gripes. Obviously, I think everybody has the same gripe with the physics. Like when you get killed, you end up going flying, even though you just got shot by a BB gun, which can cause you to like be put out into situations where you can't get rezzed. I think the brightness is over tweaked. Like when I'm in a building and I'm like looking out of a window, trying to look across the street, the lighting is so bad that I can't see anybody outside the window. It's awful. Or like it's just I get it. It's for artistic purposes. They're trying to have like their own look to Battlefield, but at the same time, you can't sacrifice me being able to shoot someone just because you want your game to look pretty. And no matter what settings I tried, nothing fixed it. There's no gamma slider. The brightness slider just makes things worse. So I really hope they tone it back some. Besides that, I don't think I really had any major issues. A lot of people really hate the shotguns. I didn't even use them. But I do think the range needs to be toned down a little bit, but I'm completely fine with having a shotgun that decimates close range, especially when it's on the assault class and they only get like maybe 2 mags. But it's really fun, and I'm looking forward to next weekend trying it out again. Hopefully they add some new maps or some new guns for us to test. I highly doubt it, to be honest, but a guy can hope. But yeah, I mean, it ran pretty well too. I've upgraded my system recently. I do have a 5070 Ti. I didn't get like a new CPU or anything. But yeah, I think at 4K DLSS performance on, I think, medium or high settings, depending on the map, I was getting between like 110 to 140 FPS. I think the city maps is where I was getting the lowest FPS, and then, you know, like that big wide open conquest map, I was consistently getting like 130, 140. But thank God they have DLSS 4, so it still looks perfectly fine. And to be honest, frame gen is usable as long as you have a high base frame rate. I would say if you're getting over 100 FPS and you use frame gen, I don't think you're really losing anything, but you're gaining a lot of visual motion clarity. Now, if you're only getting 40 FPS and you turn on frame gen, that's a bad situation. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't look good. Oh, I didn't know that. I'm excited. Hopefully it's a conquest map. I feel like we Or Breakthrough. Breakthrough was pretty fun. I think that's the most fun game mode that we played. Yeah, I did notice that no matter what the settings really were, I did get roughly the same frame rate, which is indicative of a CPU heavy game. I got a 5800X 3D, which isn't like top of the line, but it's like the third best out there. I did look into the benchmarks and everything of the 9800X 3D, or I should say like the 9700X 3D. I don't know which one I would end up getting if I even did. But it's just not enough for me to call it yet. Maybe next generation, like the 10800X 3D, there might be enough of an improvement for me to want to upgrade. Looks so mature now. How dare you, Sloth? How dare you? Not with these cheeks. And cut those things off. Turn them into little bowls. Why does it look like that? Oh my goodness. Smiling too much. Gotta stop that. Let me see it on this screen. Also, the new anti-cheat is just a rename of EAAC. They were cheaters day one. It's not actually kernel based. I think in the beta, they're not doing a kernel level. That's why I think that's what I heard. But I think when the game actually comes out, it's going to be kernel level. Otherwise, there would be absolutely no reason for them to have secure boot as a requirement. Which, to me, honestly, I don't care. There's people that care a lot. And I understand why. But once again, if it's that much of an issue, just don't play the game. But I think there is a considerable percentage difference where there's a kernel level anti-cheat and a non-kernel level anti-cheat. And currently at this point in time, it is kind of our only option to fight cheaters. Except if you had like a small player-based game and you had actual server admins constantly hopping around and checking up on people. Obviously, Valve, they're trying to figure out a way to kind of beat cheaters without a kernel level anti-cheat. But we can see that it's a very long process. They are not even close. All right. CS2 is kind of a mess. Always has been. Still love the game. I'll still endure it, but there's just always in the back of your head that someone might be closet cheating. But to me, it doesn't matter. You know? A person closet cheating is no better than a pro. I think if you had a closet cheater at 12K elo versus a professional Counter-Strike player, the professional Counter-Strike player will still win, 9 times out of 10. Just simply down to just how they play the game. And I mean, there's still cheaters in Valorant. But the difference is that those cheaters have to go spend $300, whereas a game with a non-kernel of anti-cheat, they might have to go spend $20 on sale. So, I don't know. At this point in time, I'm willing to sacrifice my soul, I guess some people think it is, to have kernel level anti-cheat. I do think it kind of ruins performance a little bit, but I think it's a worthy sacrifice. Yeah, but to cheat in like a game like Valorant, you need a DMA card, which like goes into your secondary PCIe slot. So most people just aren't going to go through the trouble. And then if they get banned on that account, most likely they get hardware banned, because they probably know it's a DMA cheat at that point. And of course, there's ways to spoof your hardware ID and all that stuff. That's a legitimate concern nowadays. Like when you go to buy like a used motherboard, or most components actually, you know, whether or not it's hardware banned off of certain games. Something that you never really had to think about back in the day. And it's unfortunate we still have to think about that now, but just a reality of things. Price is taking a little bit of a tumble. Hopefully we can find support off of this previous local high region, and then continue to the upside. We're below this one currently, so we do have to get back above that one. I got the Game Pass trial for $1. I've been trying out a couple different games. Now that I got the new GPU, I wanted to go ahead and see what the performance was like. So I've been jumping around between different games. I've been trying out Cyberpunk. I got the Doom. What's the new Doom? I forgot the name of it already. Doom: The Dark Ages. I played through like the first like 25 or 30 minutes of Plague Tale Requiem. Very graphically intensive, even with the system I got, but I got it working to my standards, I guess you could say. I have been trying to find games I can kind of just lay on the couch and play. I mean, that's something I haven't done in many, many years. I used to have a setup that could do that, and I still do, but I just don't utilize it. The problem is that I've grown accustomed to gyro on controllers, and playing without it just feels awful. So if the game doesn't have like good gyro implementation, it's hard for me to want to play it, unless it's a third person. I can play third persons fine without gyro, but first persons, it's a must. Like we're moving into a day and age where if Xbox does not have gyro in their upcoming controllers for whatever new console comes out, or whether or not they just want to update their controllers in general, I really don't appreciate where console gaming is going, especially with crossplay nowadays. I think crossplay is a really good thing for the industry. It really helps a lot of games not just immediately die. Like the finals, for example. All right, on Steam, the finals only has, 10 to 15,000 concurrent players at any given point in time, which is a lot. All right, that's a lot of people. But people, if it was just the PC player base, it might take you a little bit to find a game, because obviously those 15,000 people are spread out across the world. With crossplay, you can find a match instantly. It'll be a mix of PC players, console players. But the finals has amazing gyro implementation. If I hop in here This is the little transitional point where we might, I'm just gonna go into a practice match here. But I'll show you real quick. Like the technology itself, I think it needs to be where things go, because gyro at its core is a frictionless mouse, which does have drawbacks. Like if you have Parkinson's or just shaky hands in general, it can be a little bit hard to use, but there's settings you can throw in that help with that. But like if I move my, like I'm not touching my mouse right now, and I'm not even pressing the analog stick. But like moving the controller moves my guy in game. So like when I run around, I'm just kind of like looking with my controller. Now there has to be some form of like steadying. Like that's why I said they have really good implementation in this game. So like if I turn the steadying up, I would say 8 for me is where it stops. Where like if I keep my hands still, they're usable. And then what's really cool is like if instead of looking around with this, you can turn on something called flick stick, which, hopefully will be implemented in pretty much any game that has gyro. Now, for some reason, do I have Steam input on? Why is it not using... I don't have DS for Windows on, do I? It should be using flick stick instead of it says flick stick on. For some reason it's not working how it should. But instead of like looking around with my right thumbstick, it should be putting my camera in the direction of the thumbstick that I choose. But like just like anything, it takes time to like adjust to how the actual mechanics work. But like I'm using a controller and it looks like almost, obviously I'm not as accurate. Definitely not as accurate. But it looks like I'm using a mouse and keyboard almost. Like if the controls weren't on my screen and it said like press triangle or anything like that, I think most people would be hard pressed to say that you're on controller. And I just think that's super cool. I think that's the bee's knees. I don't know. I think they need to move in that direction, or else things in terms of crossplay are going to fall apart. Plain and simple. Come back to PlanetSide 2. They merged servers, way better now. Listen, PlanetSide 2 is one of the first online multiplayer games I really fell in love with on the PC. Like obviously on console, I played Battlefield, I played Call of Duty, but PlanetSide 2 was the first game like that I upgraded my PC for. It went from like Minecraft to PlanetSide 2, and that's where I needed to get a new CPU and everything like that. I remember upgrading to the i5 4600K, and I got so much more FPS. It was like the biggest upgrade I've ever had, and it felt so good. But I check on the daily concurrent player count, and a lot of the times it's like 500 players. So I don't know. I don't know if it's coming back, and that's the sad thing. And the only issue is like once I don't remember what my profile was. Like I've made so many accounts over the years. I don't know what the profile that is most recent is. Where I've made a lot of in-game purchases on PlanSide too. So I definitely have some stuff for sure. He said almost worked as a lead weapon artist for the finals. Unfortunately, I wanted relocation. Oh, that would have been sick. That would have definitely been sick to be a part of that. And that's the cool thing. Like I don't think the finals is dead at all. And I think there is a possibility for a comeback. Because they just keep pumping out updates that are really good. I'm sure when Reflex 2 comes out, people are going to, go test that out. Because Valorant and the finals are the only 2 games at launch of Reflex 2 that are going to get it. Now, I don't know if they're going to come out separately or at the same time. But I'm sure people will come in and try it out. I'm very excited for Reflex 2. Now the only thing that sucks is I don't think Reflex 2 is going to be able to work with frame generation. And that's where I think it would really kick ass. Because part of the problem with frame generation is if you are getting a crappy FPS like 50 and then you use like 4x frame gen, which I would never really use 4x. I think 2x is probably the most I would ever use, because 2x I would argue is almost flawless. It's unless you know what you're looking for and you're really paying attention, will you spot the artifacts. Now if you bump it up to 4x, I won't argue with you there. You can see the artifacts, but even then it's still playable, in my opinion. But obviously, like if you're getting 50 FPS and then you turn on frame gen, you're going to be dropping down to, 42 FPS or even 40 FPS. So you're losing 20% responsiveness on the game. Probably even more than that, because it's exponential in terms of how it feels. But then obviously it looks okay. You're seeing 100 FPS, but you're not feeling it. Reflex 2 has the potential to turn a 50 FPS experience into a 240 hertz feeling game. It sounds too good to be true, but there's a demo out that uses the same technology, but Reflex 2 is going to be a little bit more dumbed down. So it's not going to be the same thing. But there's a demo out that you can try, and it is a night and day difference. So if they can figure that out and do it properly and get it implemented with frame generation, I think it's going to change the way that games are played. Because at that point, you're really not held back by anything besides like your tolerance for visual quality. It's going to be a cool thing to see. Me personally, I feel that way. But obviously some people are just angry and feel like it's an excuse for devs to not try to optimize their games at all, which I totally understand that point of view for sure. But I don't feel like every game is terribly optimized. Not in the slightest. I just think that people are more demanding nowadays. Like, obviously some people want to play in 240 hertz. Some people want to play even higher than that. They want to do it at 1440p minimum. And they want to do it at high settings. And that's just not possible sometimes. So, a game that is unoptimized to me is a game that I would say runs terribly on a 2070 or higher at 1080p and can't even meet 100 FPS. If at 1080p, low to medium settings on a 2070 or above, if your game cannot hit at least 100 FPS, it's the game's fault. But beyond that point, it is up to the user to tweak their experience. For path tracing adoption, there is no alternative. DLSS plus FrameGen is the way. I mean, you think about like the 5050 is beating the 1080 Ti. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's 4 generations apart. Okay. So the lowest tier card is beating the highest tier card from 4 generations back. So if we want to assume that in 4 generations, what would that be? The 9, well, I guess they can't do that because of AMD, but that the 50 series of that generation would be beating. Now, I don't think this is going to be the reality because we're starting to slow down in generational leaps. But let's say not the 50 series card, but let's say the 70 series card is able to compete with the 5090. The 5090 can play Cyberpunk at 1440p, DLSS quality. Actually, no, I think at 4K DLSS quality, the 5090 can play path tracing without frame generation. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think I've watched a couple of benchmarks, and I'm pretty sure it gets above 60 FPS. Hold on. I'm curious now. So you don't necessarily need frame generation. Me personally, I need frame generation. In order to play Cyberpunk at 4K, I need to use DLSS Ultra Performance with DLSS 2X, which gives me a 140 FPS on a 5070 Ti. And because of DLSS 4 and the fact that I'm upscaling to a 4K monitor, Ultra Performance DLSS does not look terrible to me. It looks fine. Is it like pristine? No. But it looks perfectly usable. 5090 Cyberpunk tracing. Did he? Okay, he shows the settings. Okay, so he's got it at 4K DLSS balanced, which is respectable. No frame gen. He's got path tracing on. And he has all of his settings set to higher ultra. Yeah, and he's running around with 83 FPS. So yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. And then obviously if he turns on 2x frame gen, he's going to have a perfectly fine latency because his FPS will probably drop down to 65 to 70 base frame rate. And then it's going to be frame gen up to 130. So I that's usable to me. And then obviously if he drops the DLSS down to performance mode, he's going to be getting close to 200 FPS frame gen. So, yeah, I hate the way that Nvidia did things, because the marketing sucked, but the technology is great, and that's unfortunate. A lot of people are never going to give it a chance because of the way that they handled things. But me personally, I was first introduced to frame generation through lossless scaling, the like Steam app that's cost like $7. And on a single GPU, it's not a good experience. You drop like 20% of your performance instantaneously on a decent card. So if you're playing at like 100 FPS, you drop down to like 75, and then it frame gens up to 150. So instead of getting the expected 200 FPS, you're only getting 150. And then obviously the latency was bad, because you're adding a little bit of latency from the frame generation, and then you're adding latency from the frame rate loss. But on the newer cards that are kind of built around that technology, it actually works insanely well on a single GPU. It kind of blew my mind. There was minimal performance loss, maybe like 7 to 10 FPS. And then there was virtually no artifacts at 2x. So the technology has definitely come a long way. I'm excited, for all the improvements to it in the future. Oh, absolutely. Like, yeah, I think it was Owen something, a YouTuber, who described frame generation as a win more button. Basically, for people that are losing, aka people that are at like 40 or 50 FPS, frame generation can't help them. But for someone that is getting 100 FPS, it helps them win more. Because for them, there's really no downside. If you're getting I would say above 80 FPS with frame gen turned on, obviously it depends on whether or not it's a single player, like, or a multiplayer competitive shooter. But that is a perfect experience. It looks good because there's enough data for the frames to have the minimal amount of artifacting. And then it's a high enough base frame rate where the latency isn't awful. It's, normal. Anybody would be fine to play at 80 FPS. Maybe not in, a Twitch shooter like Valorant or something, but in a single player game, they would, if you had to play at 80 FPS, you would be fine with it. But yeah, for people that are getting 30 FPS and then frame genning it up to a 60 hertz experience, there's too much artifacting for it to be a good experience. So yeah, it's unfortunate. It's really good for the people that are trying to hit 240 hertz or even 540 hertz. But for the people that are getting 20 FPS, but that's the thing though. That's the way that it is right now. If they can somehow implement asynchronous projection with frame generation, you could play a 25 FPS game and have it look and feel as if it was at 144 hertz. And if you think I'm wrong, all right, I'm sure some of you guys have seen this video, if you guys are nerds like me. But if you look up a Comrade, that's not how you, Stingers. This guy right here. The first video on his page, there's a download link here for Google Drive. And it will bring you to this demo here. I'll start it up real quick. Now you're not going to be able to tell over the stream here, but for anybody that's interested, I would like to go over how to use it. It's going to take it a second for it to start up here. But essentially, I can set my FPS. So up in the top left, you can barely see it, but there's some settings here. So you want to check the box that says you stretch time warp borders, and uncheck or keep unchecked the include player movement and reprojection, because unfortunately Reflex 2 is not going to affect movement. It's only going to affect your camera, aka your mouse. So if we put our FPS down to 20 and maybe lower our sensitivity here a little bit, and then press the click to control player. So now with 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the keyboard, I can change between the different settings. So this is the game running at its maximum FPS. I'm running it at like 600 FPS right now. And there's no latency. Like I move my mouse around just how I would in any other game. You know, that I'm getting max FPS in for my monitor's refresh rate. You can see the little block here is moving back and forth pretty smoothly. Now if I click on 3, all right, this is a 20 FPS experience. All right, now the block is very choppy, and when I move around, I move my mouse, and then the rendered frames have to catch up to my movement. So like if I'm trying to go between 2 points with any form of like accuracy, it's kind of hard to do that. You know, if I want to flick around, like I have to like wait for the game to catch up and then like kind of micro adjust. It doesn't feel good to play. Nobody likes to play at this low of an FPS, especially 20 FPS. Like that's awful. But then if I hit 4, okay. All right, this is the same exact experience. All right, if I stand still here, the game is still being rendered at 20 FPS, but my mouse movements are now detached from the game engine. So obviously that does leave like artifacts like around the edges of the screen, around objects. You can see like a little bit of a distortion, but in terms of like latency, it matches my monitor's refresh rate. Now I can move between 2 points freely with like 0 latency in terms of what my setup would allow. Obviously, if I had a higher refresh rate monitor, everything like that, then it would be even better. But this it's actually insane how much better it feels. So moving around the world like this sucks. It looks bad. It gives me a headache. But then if I press 4, like Reflex 2, what they're figuring out is how do you get rid of these like distortions around objects? That's what they're going to be figuring out, which I'm super excited about. Like that takes things to a whole nother level, because if it can turn, you know, a 40 FPS experience into something usable, well, obviously, like I'm not really going to have to worry about that, but it's nice to know that like that's always there. Like this to me, 40 FPS, like if I had to play a game like this, I wouldn't mind. Like even with the distortions and everything. All right, maybe that's going a little bit far, but the next step past that point would be the include player movement and reprojection. So now the responsiveness of the keyboard is also just as good as my responsiveness to the mouse. And this feels no different than the game being uncapped FPS. I'm moving around freely. I'm looking around freely, but then yet the game is still only running at 40 FPS. It's really sick. Like I said, it's not something that you can really understand looking at it over the stream, but you can go to Comrade Stinger on YouTube, and then right here he has the demo with the drive file. Really cool to check out if you got some time. The market has been falling while I've been sitting here chatting. We're down to the next major resistance. I'm hoping we find support here shortly and we continue pressing up. But if we do start to turn around here, that does start to seem like we want to go back down and retest this local low here, which unfortunately would not be good. It's going to be a fight. Like I said, we have a long entry there and a short entry there. So it's going to be a tough one. So we'll see. Did my ETH trade get triggered yet? No, not yet. We're close. I do need to head to the store here shortly. But I'll stick around for a little bit and just chat with you guys. I know most people here are just starting to move their mornings. I'll play one game of... Which one would be quicker? I'll do one game of Team Deathmatch. And I'll probably head out and go to the gas station. There's a Minecraft mod, which I don't play Minecraft anymore. I don't have anything against it. It's just like I just don't have a reason to at the moment. I'm sure one day in the future I'll go back and give it another shot. But there's a Minecraft mod that implements asynchronous reprojection. You don't have sound for the finals. Thanks for the heads up. You should now. But yeah, VR has used asynchronous reprojection because it used to, with the lower powered wireless headsets, sometimes it's hard to push, a high refresh rate. So if you can give players the option to free look around without having to wait for the game to catch up, it's a better experience. But now they're bringing that to a 2D plane, which obviously there's some challenges. But I'm very excited. It's been delayed. It was supposed to be out 6 months ago with the launch of the 5000 series. Don't know what the delay is all about. They've kind of been radio silent, but there's been a couple updates to the finals as of recently that kind of screams that they're getting closer. Oh, I just think the game is like super quiet at the moment. I'm sure like once I get into game here, you'll be able to hear it. Because I can see it on my little video meter. Now I warn you, I'm not that great with the bow right now, but I'm working on it. This weapon right here is probably the hardest I've ever had in any FPS game, any shooter game. Because, like, you have hit scan and then you have projectiles. But usually with the projectiles, it's the same speed every time you shoot. With the bow, you can do, like, kind of like a tap shot. You can do a half shot. Or you can do a full knock. And it's hard for you to make sure that you're always doing one or the other. I just haven't used it enough. But I've been having a lot of fun with it, because when it works well. Oh, you suck. I don't know why I shot that. That's a healing orb. It's just gonna help him. Oh, I thought he was a medium. I personally think that the finals is one of the best looking and feeling FPS shooters of all time. Like, it might not be everybody's style, but like the responsiveness of the weapons and the visuals are just unmatched. And the destruction. Like, everybody loves Battlefield's destruction, but it's curated. Like, when you shoot that building, it's going to fall the same way every single time. But in the finals, the building's not going to collapse the same way every time. It's all procedural. It's really cool. And it's made by the same people that made Battlefield 3. Headshot. We both kind of suck there. No, don't get me wrong. The destruction in the newer Battlefield games, it's art. Like, the destruction's well done, but it's all pre-rendered. So there's no variance. Like, you're not gonna have a different experience next time you play that map, in terms of like how the map kind of changes around you. But in this, like how you maneuver up and down and around the buildings based on what fell and where it fell, like, it's so cool. Like, see this wall here? Like, being able to blow a hole in the side of it and then get up to the second or third level, you can't do that. Like, and I can do that on any side of the building, not just on one side. Why can I not? What is going on? Am I hitting the railing? Alright, let's just delete that. Delete it. I think right now I'm running this game at, obviously because I'm streaming and everything, it's going to have a little bit less FPS. But if I run this game at 4K, DLSS balanced. Everything on Ultra. I get roughly around like 100, 110 FPS. And then I can frame gen it up to dang it. I can frame gen it up to like 200. 180. Where'd you go? I'm just missing shot after shot after shot. I'm telling you, this is one of the hardest weapons to use in any FPS game. Like some people will be like, oh, like what about Quake rocket launchers? Like, no, it's the same speed for the rocket launcher every time. I'm at least positive. That's all I want to be. Especially in team deathmatch. That's the only thing that matters. Oh, just one more shot, man. There we go. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that, but I'm glad I did. Shot the explosive barrel next to him. Those things are tanky. What? I didn't know that. I've been using those, but I didn't know they were that hard to destroy. Let's go. That felt good. Finally a little kill that didn't feel like I had to work too hard for it. This guy's not even paying attention to me. I'm still gonna whiff. Then go heal up. I think because of the way I think the projectile speed is, maybe I just don't do a full knockback. I think I'll hit more shots like that. Okay. And then I go and do something like that. Alright, the game's almost done. 2 more kills and we win this game. Yeah, it should be over any second now.
With each forceful move in this team deathmatch, the mighty secured the win, proving that strength and precision are...
All right, let's check up on everything before we head out. Like I said, for Bitcoin, my plan going forward is, my best hope would be is that we put in a higher high at 123,000 and mark that out. Which I will be taking a short hedge because we do already have a long open from 114,000. So this is our short setup here, or our potential short setup. This is our previous long position. Mark down blue. Now, if we don't put in the higher high, I would be expecting this to be a stunted retest of this previous resistance. And we more than likely will come back down and retest this previous local low here. Now, if that happens, I will be kicked out of my initial long position. But we obviously will have the potential for a new one from a larger structure, which can be more important and can proceed to much higher price levels. Because obviously, the larger the structure, the better the supports that we create, the more confidence I have for how high we go, and not only that, but how low we can go once we do reach our next possible peak. Now, what's upsetting is at that same exact price point, it would now create a large ABC entry on an even larger time frame, which I don't know what color I'm going to use. I'll use orange. Right here. All right, so off of the $112,000 region, there will be an opening for a macro short position and like a medium macro long position. Now, the best case scenario is we get down to that. If we ever do get down to that level, price action picks where we want to go from there. Hopefully we don't hang around there for too long. Now, obviously, more than likely, we're going to get the thing that we don't want. So, just try to pay attention if we're really like constantly going back and forth over this line. You might just want to wait it out. Maybe let it go over and under a couple times. Don't let your FOMO, lead the way. Let it do its thing. And maybe after, 3 or 4 times, that's when you start playing the market there. But, we'll see how that goes. Now, if we do happen to use this as a launching pad to the upside, I have no clue. I have no clue where it's going to go. It could go anywhere. Now, if we do happen to use this as a launching pad to the downside, and this short position is the one that actually carries through with its fulfilled momentum, well, I would definitely be looking for a retest of 98,000. Now, if we fail to find support at 98,000, we're probably going to be coming back down pretty significantly and retesting, 74K. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to keep spouting off numbers, and because people are just going to start screaming at me that I'm too bearish. I'm just calling out supports. That's all I'm doing. Now, with Ethereum, I honestly don't have a clue. All right. The bearish position is already created, but not confirmed. We have to get below 4,100 pretty much. Once we're below 4,100, we have a macro ABC short position. Our nearest local low is at 3,300. If we fail to find support there, our nearest local low would be at 2,100. Obviously, people are going to scream at the top of their lungs if I even suggest that that's a possibility. But hey, the numbers are there. Regardless of where we go to, that is the honest truth of what's on the chart. So if we see 2,100, it was always there to begin with. So that's it for the big coins. I really don't have much else to talk about when it comes to any of the other altcoins. The SPY is in a large ABC position as well. We have not put in the smaller time frame ABC top that could cause a retest to the downside. So we'll keep an eye on that, but as of right now, it's not anything like super, super crazy. But we'll check out the I always like to take a look at the Nasdaq in the ink, not the actual index, to see what that's all about. Like what's going on here. Where's all the price data? Oh, I was on crypto only. There we go. Yeah, we've moved away from the potential danger zone. I mean, we still have the structure here, but we're past it quite decently. So I mean, unless we go back down below that resistance, kind of up in the air. But yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead to the store. I'm going to grab some necessities. I'll make some noodles. I've been experimenting with ramen noodles. I've always been a plain ramen noodle type dude. But obviously seeing all the YouTube videos and stuff of people cooking their ramen, I've been trying out different stuff. I've tried I did not know that my friend Monk, he berated me this morning, but he's lactose intolerant, so he'll never understand. But putting American cheese in ramen doesn't sound like it would taste good, but it was pretty good. All right. I know it's weird, but well, weird to some people. It was weird to me, but now I have to have it. It's so good. Oh, are we dumping now? We are much lower on the buy DeFi chart than well, I'm on the wrong chart here. I need to go to this one. There we go. Okay, we're at the same price point. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and head out for today. I'll see you guys around. When I come back from the store, I might hop back onto the gaming channel. I don't know if I have that as a link in the description for anybody that's interested. I'll just be on there probably playing the finals or some other games. Do I have it here? I don't. Here. I'll just I'll put it into the chat here. We'll just switch over. Switch account. I'll go to view your channel. And I'll just paste it into the chat. I'll add it to the description later. But yeah, I'll be on there more than likely, just hanging around. And we can still chat about crypto. I'm always open to that. But otherwise, if you just need someone to watch or chat with, I'll be there. All right, guys, I'll see you around. Let's go ahead and do the thing and head on out for today. There we go. Are you ready? Bye.
There ain't no rules in the wild. Every day a mother loses a child. I never get fooled by a smile. We ain't fam just cause we been cool for a while. I can't stop, I got moves to make. I've been losing my friends at a gruesome rate. Got a heavy heart, yeah, it grew some weight. You sink or swim, you choose your fate. I don't need your help, I'm so independent. I learned how to fly, hit the road, hit a dead end. I'll be this way till I float to the heavens. Yeah, I'll be this way till I float to the heavens. If you hate me then you gon' hate me now. Oh, you can shake me up, but you can't break me down. Oh, if you hate me then you gon' hate me now. Oh, you can shake me up, but you can't break me down. Oh, I don't like to party, I
be in the cut like the scars on my body. If you hate it, then don't talk to me now. Fuck double, fuck triple, I quadruple down. Now, the truth is I love you, I wanted to try, but you are the reason I'm haunted inside. If you ghosted me once, I don't wanna reply. Before living with snakes, I will honorably die.